I was Alexis Hayes, 28, a graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs in Raleigh, until that one contract hit seven figures news I buried deep, far from the family whispers back in Cary. But at our family dinner, everything cracked open. Mom slid the apple across the table, its skin gleaming too perfect under the porch light, her fingers lingering like she owned the moment. "Eat it, honey." She purred that word, dripping out sweet as iced tea on a humid night, a tenderness she'd never wasted on me before. My pulse spiked. It tasted wrong, like the special remedies she'd force-fed me as a kid, leaving me bedridden and questioning everything. Trust your instincts, they scream when words won't. As she leaned in to refill my sister's glass, I flashed a smile and swapped the apple onto her plate, silent, seamless, my hand steady from nights rehearsing worst-case scenarios in my head. We clinked forks, small talk buzzing like cicadas, but my eyes tracked every bite she took. 20 minutes and her fork clattered. She gripped the table edge, face twisting, pale eyes wide with that raw animal confusion. "What? What's happening?" she gasped, lurching up, then the screams ripped out sharp and unraveling as she staggered toward the kitchen, crashing into the counter with a force that shook the whole room. My sister froze mid-bite, her gaze locking mine in a flash of shared panic. My brother-in-law bolted for his phone, yelling into it, "911, my mother-in-law's collapsing, something's wrong with the food, get here now." In the blur of sirens wailing closer, it slammed home. She'd been weaving this trap for years, threads of resentment pulling tighter. And that apple. It was the knot. 3 days back, one faded note from Dad had yanked the whole web into view. Before I get to my story, I want to know what time and what city you are listening in. I'm happy to know how far my story goes. 72 hours earlier, on a muggy Wednesday morning in Cary, I pulled into the driveway of our old southern colonial, the kind with wraparound porches and black shutters that Dad swore kept the ghosts at bay. 4 years since his funeral, the place still hit like a gut punch, too quiet, too perfect. I'd driven down from Raleigh under the guise of a client lunch, but truth was, those garage boxes had been calling me louder than Mom's latest "let's catch up" text. Dust motes danced in the slanted light as I yanked open the sagging cardboard under a stack of Dad's faded closing documents. There, wedged between yellowed tax forms, was a plain envelope sealed with yellowing tape. Alexis, his blocky script, the one from birthday cards. I slid it with a rusty letter opener sinking onto an overturned crate as the words spilled out. "If you're reading this, kiddo, Mom's wheels are turning again. The apple will be her go-to this round, steer clear. Sierra's in the loop. She's shouldered more than her share. The codicil fires on her 65th next month, $25 million straight to you if you make it through. I couldn't stop her with me, but you two. You're the unbreakable part. She resents you echoing me too much. Stay sharp. Love, always, Dad." My breath caught sharp, the paper crinkling in my fist. Therapy had chipped at the edges of doubt, but this nailed it. His heart event wasn't fate. It was her handiwork, that subtle sabotage he'd hinted at in late-night calls I chalked up to grief. And my contract buzz, she'd ferreted it out via Sierra's bank chatter, turning success into a target. That night, back in my Raleigh high-rise with the skyline mocking my isolation, I punched Sierra's number. It rang endless. Then her whisper cut through. "Alexis. midnight, what gives? Cut the act." I hissed, pacing the cool hardwood. "Dad's envelope. He flat out said you know. Spill about Mom, about him." Silence stretched, broken by a shaky exhale. "Damn. I stashed that for safekeeping after the funeral." "Yeah, it's her. She dosed his coffee for months leading up. That stuff, it mimics heart strain, looks clean on paper. I caught the vial in her vanity last spring, snuck a sample to a lab contact at work. Dead match to his final labs. Why bury it?" My voice cracked, fist slamming the counter. "You're her golden child now. Why not scream it?" A bitter laugh. Golden handcuffs. Post-funeral, she cornered me one word out and she'd gut my career, yank my accounts, poison the well with my boss. Loans are choking me, Alexis. Plus, she feeds me lines like, "You're the steady one now that she's flown." It's control, same slow burn as with Dad. Fury surged white hot. Ends Saturday. Dinner, she'll trot out the apple per the note. You fake a cough, slide it back her way. I'll feign ignorance, mic her slip-ups for proof. Cops after the tape rolls. She paused, then Steele crept in. Deal. For him. Park, meet at dawn, bring the envelope, we'll drill the handoff. Thursday morning dawned sticky at Bond Park, us crammed on a splintered bench amid joggers and dog walkers. Sierra's face was gaunt, but her grip on the slim recorder was iron. Pins here, voice crystal. Practice the pivot, your elbow bump, my plate shift. We ran drills twice, her timing my nods. Doubt flares, bail to the porch swing. Harold next door owes Dad a favor, he'll run interference. As we split, resolve hardened in my chest. This wasn't revenge, it was survival. By Thursday noon, our plan was locked, and the humid Cary air clung like a second skin as Sierra and I slipped into Mom's pristine kitchen. We moved fast, no words, just the clink of a butter knife, prying open the spice cabinet's back panel. I wedged a tiny camera there, lens angled to catch the counter where she'd prep her special recipe. Sierra tucked a recorder the size of a quarter into my purse, its red light blinking like a heartbeat. Voice picks up clean, she whispered, checking her phone for the feed. Every slip of hers we've got. Back at her bank office downtown, Sierra had called in a favor from a lab tech friend, slipping him a sample from a vial she'd swiped from Mom's vanity months back. The results landed that morning, a chemical compound odorless designed to mimic heart strain, same as Dad's autopsy report she'd dug up from his old firm's server. It's not random, she said, voice low, eyes darting to the door. His palpitations, the dizzy spells before he went down. It's what she's banking on for you. I paced the kitchen tiles, stomach churning. Then Sierra froze, pointing to her laptop screen. She'd hacked Mom's old security cam from the porch, a grainy feed from weeks ago time-stamped under moonlight. There was Mom alone on the high-end slicing apples with surgical calm, dusting each with a fine powder from a glass jar. She'd mutter, test a bite, then spit it out over and over like some twisted southern ritual. She's been practicing, Sierra hissed. Polishing the act to look natural Saturday. My jaw tightened, nails biting my palms. She's playing Magnolia Charm while rigging a death sentence. That evening, back in my Raleigh apartment, I stood before my bathroom mirror, the fluorescent hum, my only company. I forced a smile wide and guileless. Oh, Mom, this apple's divine. I practiced tweaking the tilt of my head, softening my eyes to sell the lie. It had to be flawless, any flinch, and she'd smell the trap. I ran the lines again, picturing her smug nod as she'd hand me the fruit, her fingers brushing mine like a dare. Sierra texted at dusk, Cam's live purse mic hot. I'll fake a cough at the table, you nudge the plate swaps on you. Timing's gotta be surgical. I nodded to the empty room, running the move in my head, elbow, graze, quick slide, no hesitation. Doubt wasn't an option. Dad's note had burned that away. If we fumbled, that 25 million codicil wasn't the only thing she'd bury. I sank onto the couch, pulse steadying. Harold, the old neighbor who'd grilled steaks with Dad under the oaks, had agreed to linger near his fence Saturday. One weird vibe, Sierra had said he'll dial 911 faster than you can say sweet tea. Friday morning broke with a text from an unknown number. By Saturday morning, the sticky heat of Cary had me wiping sweat from my brow as I crouched in the garage shadows, phone wedged against the wall near Mom's landline. The recorder from Sierra's kit hummed softly, capturing every tinny echo. I'd timed it perfect, her weekly check-in with the family lawyer Douglas Reed always hit at 9 sharp, her voice carrying like she owned the line. "Reed, it's Susan!" She snapped, pacing the concrete floor in her pearls and linen slacks. "The codicil's ironclad, right? Alexis kicks it before 25, and the whole kit properties investments, that insurance windfall dumped straight to me." Douglas's baritone crackled back, smooth as bourbon. Locked in Susan. Thomas was sharp till the end. He buried it deep to dodge your influence. $25 million, no leaks. But heads up, she's poking around his old files. If she surfaces the original, it flips everything. Mom's laugh barked out sharp and brittle. She won't. Girl's too buried in her Raleigh doodles to dig. But if she sniffs close, we accelerate. That dinner tomorrow, it'll seal it clean. My breath-hitched fist clenching the phone so hard the case creaked. Accelerate. The word landed like a gavel tying Dad's sudden collapse to her calendar. But Reed pressed. One snag: Haley Brooks pinged her last week. DNA match through one of those ancestry sites. Says she's circling back for her cut. Silence stretched thick as the humidity pressing the garage door. Mom's heels clicked to a stop. Haley. That ghost from 34 years back, I buried her deep SIDS on paper, no traces. How the hell? She's alive, Susan. Relocated as a kid, but the site's linking dots. Alexis got the alert. They're talking. If Haley lawyered up, she'd claw for her share firstborn clause in the base will. Thomas slipped that in quiet, protecting her from you. Mom's voice dropped to a venomous hiss. Protecting that brat was a glitch, screaming nights, stealing his attention before Alexis even showed. I fixed it, young. Now she's back to unravel. No. Alexis goes first. Cut the head, body follows. Haley gets nothing but echoes. I bit my lip, bloody, the recorder's light steady as my world tilted. Not just the money, that codicil she'd twisted to her greed. This ran deeper, a rot from before I breathed. Haley, my half-sister I'd never known, marked as collateral in Mom's first purge. Dad hadn't just feared her. He'd architected walls around us both. His will a silent shield against the woman who'd sworn vows under these oaks. Reed cleared his throat. Risky play. Feds sniff fraud on the old insurance claim, your widow's burden fundraise, she's cooked. Keep it subtle. Subtle's my middle name. Mom shot back, hanging up with a slam that echoed through the walls. I eased out, legs numb, the sun glaring off the sycamores like judgment. Haley alive, reaching out, that explained the anonymous text pinging my phone yesterday. We need to talk. It's about Thomas. H. Mom wasn't chasing inheritance. She was cauterizing wounds, erasing us to preserve her flawless facade, the devoted Southern widow who'd charmed donations after Dad's tragic event. Rage coiled tight, but clarity cut sharper. Saturday dinner wasn't a meal, it was execution hour. And Haley. She was the wild card Mom couldn't control. That afternoon, the text lit up my screen again. That afternoon, the weight of the intercepted call still pressed on my chest as I claimed a weathered bench in Bond Park, the sycamores draping shade over the gravel paths. Joggers blurred by, but my focus locked on the phone screen. Haley's face materializing in the video feed, sharp features, dark hair, pulled back eyes, the same hazel as Dad's old photos. Alexis? Her voice came steady, laced with that Carolina drawl softened by years away. You look just like him. Thomas. I swallowed hard, gripping the bench slats. Haley Brooks. The DNA alert didn't lie. Mom Susan, she's gunning for me tonight. Your name came up in her panic with the lawyer. She nodded, leaning into her webcam from what looked like a tidy Oregon kitchen. I figured. Been waiting for this ping. Mom tried to end me at 6 months, dosed my bottles with that crap she brews. Screaming fits, convulsions they called colic. But Grandma caught on quick. She was the nurse, saw the patterns. Snatched me up one night, drove cross-country to Portland, faked the adoption papers through a back-channel friend. No traces left in Raleigh. My knuckles whitened. Dosed. Like what she did to Dad. Worse blueprint. Haley said, pulling up a scanned file on her end, tilting the screen. These are my pediatric charts. 5 ER trips in infancy for food poisoning. Elevated markers for cardiac stress. Same profile as Thomas's tox screen you probably have now. She started small building tolerance or excuses, but Grandma documented every vial she flushed. Said Mom's resentment boiled over when Dad doted on me first, the perfect one before you came along. I leaned closer, the records blurring through unshed tears. She buried it all, SIDS on the certificate, no questions. And now you're back because Ancestry lit the fuse 2 years ago. Matched us clean then. I hired a PI out of Charlotte, discreet guy ex-cop. He's tailed you since snapping plates at coffee shops, noting Mom's charity luncheons that reek of fraud. Her widow fund pulled in $500,000 on sympathy, all funneled offshore. But I held off reaching out, didn't want to drag you under till I had leverage. Leverage for what? My voice edged higher, the park's distant laughter mocking the knot in my throat. Plan B, she replied, unflinching. If you don't walk out of that dinner alive, I go nuclear. Full press release to the Raleigh News and Observer Records PI affidavits, even a timeline linking her to Dad's event. 25 million be damned. It's the truth she can't launder. But if you make it, we team up lawyers, the works. She doesn't get to rewrite us as footnotes. The call held her gaze, piercing the miles. For the first time, blood felt like armor, not chains. Haley, the sister, erased now the blade at Mom's throat. Grandma always said Thomas tried to shield us both, said in his letters, keep her safe from the storm. You're the storm now, Alexis. Ride it out. I exhaled, resolve snapping into place. I will. For him. For you. She signed off with a nod, the screen going dark. Dusk crept in over the park. Dusk settled into the humid embrace of Curie. As I pulled up to the house, the sycamores casting long shadows over the driveway, like fingers pointing blame. The porch light flickered on early, illuminating the spread. Sierra and Mom had set linen napkins, crystal tumblers sweating condensation, a spread of fried chicken and collards that screamed forced hospitality. I smoothed my sundress, forcing the practiced ease into my step, and pushed through the screen door. Mom turned from the sideboard, her smile polished as the silverware pearls glinting under the ceiling fan's lazy whirl. There you are, Alexis, right on time for our little catch-up. Her eyes flicked over me appraising, but I met them with a grin wide and disarming. Smells amazing, Mom. You outdid yourself. Sierra hovered by the porch railing, her banker crispness softened by a forced laugh at some neighbor yarn Mom spun. Dylan nursed a bourbon neat in the rocker, his nod tight, but on cue. We settled around the wicker table, cicadas humming the soundtrack to small talk. My Raleigh gig, Sierra's latest client close, Dylan's weekend golf scramble. I leaned in, fork-spearing okra, laughing at Mom's quip about the church bake sale. You should have seen Mrs. Jenkins's pecan pie, dry as the Sahara. Plates cleared to cobbler. Mom rose with a flourish, vanishing into the kitchen. She emerged holding a bowl of polished apples, selecting one with deliberate care, its skin flawless under the light. Picked these fresh from the market, my special twist for the star of the evening. She extended it to me, the fruit cool in her palm, her voice dipping sweet. Go on, honey, sink your teeth in. The word hung syrupy and alien, but I took it, twirling it once, inhaling the faint tartness. Looks perfect, Mom. Thanks. Our eyes locked, a beat too long hers, probing for cracks, mine blank as fresh canvas. Sierra coughed lightly across the table napkin to mouth a signal sharp as a blade. As Mom turned to refill Dylan's glass, my elbow grazed Sierra's plate in the shuffle, the apple sliding seamless onto her edge. She nudged it back my way under the guise of passing salt, but in that flicker I'd palmed the real one, crisp, unmarked, onto Mom's saucer when she glanced away. She reclaimed her seat knife, slicing neat, and bit in with a satisfied crunch. Conversation flowed, Dylan's swing woes, Sierra's promotion tease, but my gaze tracked her fork's rhythm. 15 minutes ticked by in humid haze, then her hand faltered mid-gesture, the utensil clattering against china. Bit off tonight, she murmured, rubbing her temple color leaching from her cheeks. Another bite, and her breath hitched shallow gasps, breaking the fan's hum. You all right, Mom? I asked, voice laced with feigned concern, leaning forward just enough to catch the widening panic in her stare. She locked on me, fork, suspended realization dawning like a storm break. You switched it. All this time you knew. I held steady, the words ice in my veins. Long enough, Mom. Just like Dad figured out too late. Her chair's scraped back body lurching upright, a strangled cry escaping as she clutched the railing. Sierra's eyes met mine steel, and Dylan froze glass halfway to lips. From the fence line, Harold's silhouette shifted, phone all ready to ear. Sirens wailed, distant closing fast. 6 months later, the Wake County courtroom in Raleigh hummed with fluorescent buzz and murmured sidebars, air thick with polished wood and stale coffee. I sat in the witness box, hands clasped against tremor as the prosecutor circled back. Ms. Hayes, walk us through the confrontation. I met the jury's eyes steady after prep. Mom handed the apple her special recipe, and I played along, acting like just another meal. But when she bit in and started gasping, clutching the railing, she locked on me and spat. You switched it. You knew. I didn't flinch. Long enough, Mom. Dad pieced it together before she got him too. Room tensed as bailiff wheeled recorder. Feed crackled, Mom's garage voice sharp. Alexis before 25 estate mine, $25 million read. Haley's surfacing. That glitch could unravel. Gasps rippled. Defense shot up, objecting, irrelevance, judge waved off. Haley testified next, gut punch. 6 months old, Susan dosed bottles, 5 colic markers, cardiac stress like Thomas's talk screen. Scanned files slid across yellow damming. She called fix for perfect one, stealing focus. Grandma smuggled me, but Susan buried SIDS, no follow-up. PI affidavit stacked photos, mom charity brunches, cheeks flushed, widow tales, funneled donations, offshore shells. 500,000 skimmed sympathy. Investigator droned, laundered, tied her name. Mom's turn, mid-afternoon navy suit, crisp pearls shield. Under cross mask slipped. Not greed, snapped voice cracking stand. Thomas doted Haley first, Alexis, then like outsider own home. Codicil twisted spite, contained it. Substance nudge quiet. Haley trial. Alexis cleanup. Courtroom erupted, gavel banging order. Purge control. Prosecutor thundered. Admit. Gaze flicked me. Venom flickering crumbled. Control. Took him, take empire. 25 million Rs, mine safeguard. Verdict, 2 days deliberation. Guilty, board fraud. Conspiracy, endangerment, infancy, upgraded Haley records. Life sentences stacked, federal, state, no parole, restitution. Clawing, skimmed, sent estate. Outside courthouse, Sierra waited steps, eyes red-rimmed. Alexis did it for Dad. Stepped past, distance chasm. Sat vile months, fed alibis plotting. Blood betrayal, can unsee. Plea hung unanswered, walked away. Raleigh's skyline blurring. Carey house sold, quick young couple eyeing Sycamore's kids. Proceeds seeded, Thomas Hayes Foundation scholarships, toxic homes. Awareness, subtle sabotage. Ran solo modest Raleigh office, no family board, no Sierra letterhead. Nights poured, cider glass, apple-free, raised empty room. Cutting clean. Empire mine ghosts. Lingered reminder, ties, sever save. Foundation's first grant went spring.